What's up, sports fans? Welcome to V Sports Insider. So the WBA, World Boxing Association, have some terrible people handling the editing of their own official rules and regulations. There are a lot of things that are too open for interpretation, and there are grammar mistakes, unacceptable for a governing body in the sport of boxing. We're gonna talk about it in this video, so stay tuned. As you know, in our recent videos we've been criticizing the WBA for having multiple belts in each weight class, making it difficult to determine who the legitimate WBA champion is, and so allowing fighters like Gervonta Tank Davis to falsely claim to be WBA champions in divisions such as lightweight and super featherweight to a degree, but we're not gonna talk about that right now. And the reason why we keep bringing up the WBA is not because we have something against the WBA, it is because we believe the WBA should be the standard for the rest of the governing bodies in boxing, because after all, the WBA are the pioneers, the WBA are the original governing body, the oldest governing body with the longest lineage in the sport of boxing, and it should behave that way. But unfortunately, sometimes, pretty often, they make questionable decisions that are hard to understand for fans, that are hard to understand for everybody that uses logic, and it makes people question the intent behind the decisions made by the WBA. And now, most recently, while we were discussing the super belts and the rules behind those belts that the WBA has installed within its own official rules and regulations, we have not only noticed the definitions so broad that everybody could interpret them the way they would like, we have also noticed grammar mistakes, which is really unacceptable if we're talking about the governing body in the sport of boxing, arguably the most prestigious governing body nonetheless, and whoever is handling that on the WBA website or whatever other way they're updating their rules and regulations is not doing a very good job. So if you go to the WBA website, which is wbaboxing.com, you're able to access pretty much everything that the WBA has to offer regarding the schedule, the results, the ratings, the championship, everything concerning the fights that are sanctioned by the WBA, everything concerning the fighters that are rated by the WBA. Everything is pretty transparent. The site looks nice, but if you go to the rules and regulations, which is under the WBA and then obviously under the section of regulations, and then click on the rules of the World Boxing Association, you're gonna notice something a little bit embarrassing for a world governing body in the sport of boxing, and that's grammar mistakes. So if you go to the section C under championships and super belt under point 2, the rules read that the association will grant super belts to those champions that make 5 or 10 successful defenses of his title. So obviously these rules were modified. The last update was April 9th, 2019. So whoever was in charge of modifying the rules probably intended to modify champion to champions or something similar in this sentence, but forgot to modify his. So instead of those champions and successful defenses of their title, it's saying those champions and his title, which is nothing big, of course, but it really says some things about the people that are editing and modifying and updating the official rules of the WBA, and it comes as no surprise because the WBA, the way they've been acting recently is that they've been modifying their own rules to accommodate particular situations, which is not a good look by any governing body. Obviously recently we have had the introduction of WBA Gold Champion, a title that there is no clear explanation for in the official regulations of the WBA. So hopefully the whole situations get clarified and we do have the exact meaning of the Gold Champion here, because the Gold Champion is not rated, it doesn't carry the official rating, and he is not rated by other governing bodies, WBC, IBF, WBO, which means that those governing bodies recognize WBA Gold Champion as a champion, which is a pretty weird situation. That means that WBA has de facto four champions in each weight class, and if you take heavyweight, for example, you have the Anthony Joshua, the super champion, you have Manuel Char, the regular champion, you have Trevor Bryan, the interim champion, and you have Robert Helenius, the gold champion. So the WBA official rules and regulations do not offer clear clarification on this matter. And on top of that, there are grammar mistakes, which we believe is a result of constantly updating and changing their own rules to suit their own agendas and particular situation, which is not a good look at all for the WBA, being the original, the oldest governing body with the biggest and the longest lineage, and is something that we hope that President Gilberto Mendoza marks as high priority for fixing and looking into at as soon as possible. So that was a quick inside look at the official regulations of the World Boxing Association. Obviously there are a lot of flaws there which we brought to the light. There are others as well which we're not going to mention at this time, but of course share, like and subscribe. You've been watching a report by V Sports Insider.